Normandy, June 1944. A British commando patrol moves through a destroyed German position. Sergeant William Fairbairn checks the bodies. German soldiers, Wehrmacht infantry, and lying beside one of them, an MP-40 submachine gun. Fairbairn picks it up, checks the magazine, 32 rounds. He works the bolt. Smooth, reliable. He already carries a Sten gun, British issue, standard equipment for commandos. But Fairbairn makes a decision. He drops the Sten and keeps the MP-40. This is not unusual. British commandos regularly discarded their own weapons in favor of captured German MP-40s. American paratroopers did the same. Soviet soldiers preferred them when they could get them. The reason was simple. The MP-40 worked when other submachine guns failed. The weapon Fairbairn carries is not advanced technology. The MP-40 was designed in 1938. Stamped metal construction, folding stock, open bolt operation, nothing revolutionary, but German engineers had perfected simplicity. Fewer parts, less to break, less to jam. The MP-40 was simple, it was reliable, and the MP-40 kept firing when British Stens and American Thompsons jammed. Between 1940 and 1945, Germany produced over 1 million MP-40s. Allied soldiers captured tens of thousands, and many who captured them kept using them. Because when you are fighting in close quarters, reliability matters more than national pride. The MP-40 worked. British Stens jammed. The choice was obvious. The problem facing Germany in the late 1930s was tactical. Modern warfare demanded close quarters firepower. Pistols lacked range and firepower. Rifles were too long for trench fighting and urban combat. German infantry needed something between the two, a compact automatic weapon that fired pistol ammunition. The concept was not new. Italy had developed the Beretta Model 38. The Soviet Union fielded the PPD-34. America had the Thompson submachine gun. But these weapons were expensive, complex manufacturing, tight tolerances, skilled machinists required. Germany needed something that could be mass-produced by semi-skilled workers using stamped metal parts. The design contract went to Irma Werke. Engineer Heinrich Vollmer led development. His team started with the earlier MP-36 design and simplified everything. Remove unnecessary parts, eliminate complex machining, use stamped sheet metal wherever possible. The result was the MP-38. The MP-38 entered service in 1938. It was revolutionary for its time, almost entirely stamped metal construction, folding stock for compact carry, simple blowback operation. But it had problems. The magazine housing was weak. The bolt could release accidentally if the weapon was dropped, and production was still too slow. Vollmer's team revised the design, strengthened the magazine well, added a manual safety, simplified manufacturing further. The improved version became the MP-40. This was the weapon that would arm German forces throughout the war. The specifications were straightforward. The MP-40 fired 9mm parabellum ammunition, standard pistol cartridge used across German forces. Magazine capacity was 32 rounds. Rate of fire was 500 to 550 rounds per minute. Effective range was approximately 100 to 200 meters. The weapon weighed 4 kilograms empty. Overall length with stock extended was 833 millimeters. With stock folded, it was only 630 millimeters. Compact enough to use in vehicles, bunkers, and urban environments. The folding stock was ingenious. Tubular steel construction. It folded under the receiver for storage and transport. The manufacturing process was the real innovation. Almost every component was stamped from sheet steel. The receiver was a simple steel tube. The barrel housing was stamped metal. Even small parts used stamping and welding instead of machining. This allowed Germany to produce MP-40s quickly using existing industrial capacity. Production began in 1940. Initial numbers were modest, but as the war expanded, production accelerated. Irma Werke manufactured most MP-40s. Heinel and Steyr also produced them under license. By 1945, over 1 million had been built. The MP-40 equipped multiple branches of German forces. Wehrmacht infantry received them for squad leaders and vehicle crews. Fallschirmjäger paratroopers carried them on airborne operations. Waffen-SS units were heavily armed with MP-40s. Tank crews used them as personal defense weapons. The compact size made it ideal for armored vehicle crews who needed firepower in confined spaces. If you are finding this interesting, a quick subscribe helps more than you know. German tactics emphasized the MP-40's close-range firepower. Squad leaders carried MP-40s while riflemen provided longer-range fire. In urban combat, the MP-40 dominated. Short hallways, staircases, room clearing. The weapon's compact size and automatic fire gave German infantry a significant advantage in close quarters. But the real test of any weapon is what the enemy thinks of it. And Allied soldiers who captured MP-40s almost universally praised them. British Commandos preferred them over Sten guns. The Sten was cheaper to produce. Britain manufactured over 4 million Stens during the war, but the Sten jammed constantly. Feeding issues, extraction failures. The simple spring-loaded magazine caused endless problems. The MP-40 rarely jammed. German engineering tolerances were tighter. Quality control was better. The weapon functioned in mud, sand, snow, and rain. British soldiers noticed this immediately. Captured MP-40s became prized possessions. Officers looked the other way when commandos carried enemy weapons instead of issued Stens. American paratroopers faced a different problem. The Thompson submachine gun was excellent but heavy, over 4.8 kilograms empty. The MP-40 was lighter and more compact. American soldiers who captured MP-40s often kept them for the rest of the war. The weapon was simply more practical for airborne operations where weight mattered. Soviet troops had their own submachine gun. The PPSH-41 was reliable and effective, but it was heavy and the drum magazine was bulky. The MP-40's stick magazine was more convenient. Soviet soldiers who captured MP-40s appreciated the compact design even though their own weapon was arguably better. The comparison between the MP-40 and its contemporaries reveals why Allied soldiers preferred it. Against the British Sten, the MP-40 won on reliability. The Sten cost £2 to manufacture. The MP-40 cost more. But the MP-40 worked every time. The Sten worked most of the time. In combat, reliability is worth the extra cost. Against the American Thompson, the MP-40 won on weight and compactness. The Thompson was beautifully made, milled receiver, tight tolerances, excellent accuracy, but it weighed nearly 5 kilograms and cost over $200 to produce. The MP-40 weighed 4 kilograms and cost roughly a tenth as much. For mass production, the MP-40 made more sense. Against the Soviet PPSH-41, the comparison was closer. The PPSH was rugged and reliable. It fired faster than the MP-40, but the MP-40 was more compact and easier to handle in confined spaces. Both were excellent weapons. Soldiers on both sides respected them. The MP-40 had weaknesses. The 32-round magazine could be unreliable if damaged. The single-stack design was prone to feed issues if the magazine lips were bent. Soldiers learned to treat magazines carefully. Some carried spare magazines in protective pouches. The open bolt design meant the first shot was less accurate. The bolt slamming forward disrupted aim slightly. But in close-quarters combat, where the MP-40 was primarily used, this mattered less than rapid follow-up shots. The weapon's effective range was limited. Beyond 100 meters, accuracy dropped significantly, but the MP-40 was never intended for long-range combat. It was designed for urban fighting, trench clearing, and close-quarters battle. At these ranges, it excelled. One famous incident demonstrated the MP-40's impact. During the Warsaw Uprising in 1944, Polish resistance fighters desperately sought MP-40s from captured German positions. The Polish had homemade weapons and occasional British airdrops, but captured MP-40s were their most reliable firearms. The weapon's simplicity meant resistance fighters with minimal training could use it effectively. The MP-40's visual design became iconic. That distinctive folding stock, the vertical magazine, the simple lines. Every World War II film features MP-40s. Every museum collection includes them. The weapon became the visual symbol of German infantry. But unlike some weapons that became famous through propaganda, the MP-40 earned its reputation through performance. It worked. It was simple. It was reliable. And Allied soldiers who captured them recognized quality when they saw it. Post-war production continued briefly. Some countries manufactured MP-40 clones, but the weapons era had passed. The war demonstrated that intermediate cartridges were the future. Weapons like the Soviet AK-47 and American M16 would dominate post-war military arsenals. The submachine gun would become a niche weapon for special forces and police. The MP-40's legacy influenced post-war weapons design. The stamped metal construction became standard. The folding stock concept was widely copied. The emphasis on simplicity and reliability over perfect machining influenced generations of military firearms. Modern analysis shows the MP-40 was not the best submachine gun of the war in every category. The Thompson was more accurate. The PPSH-41 fired faster. The Sten was cheaper. But the MP-40 balanced all factors better than its contemporaries. It was reliable enough, accurate enough, cheap enough, and simple enough. And that balance explains why Allied soldiers preferred it. When you are fighting in Normandy hedgerows or Italian ruins or French streets, you want a weapon that works, every time, without fail. The MP-40 delivered that reliability. British Stens did not. The choice was obvious. Normandy, June 1944. Sergeant Fairbairn moves forward with his patrol. The MP-40 is slung across his chest. His discarded Sten lies somewhere behind him in the rubble. He does not regret the choice. The MP-40 has not jammed once. It has fired every time he pulled the trigger. That is all a soldier needs. The simple German submachine gun that British Commandos preferred over their own weapons was not magic. It was engineering. German designers understood that reliability comes from simplicity. Fewer parts mean less to break. Simpler mechanisms mean less to jam. And when Allied soldiers captured these weapons, they recognized good engineering when they saw it. Over 1 million MP-40s produced, tens of thousands captured and used by Allied forces, the most recognizable submachine gun of the entire war. And the weapon that proved sometimes simple design done right beats complex design done cheap. That was the MP-40, and that was why soldiers on both sides trusted it with their lives.